nightlife right here. It's that nightlife Telly Savalas music. Who loves you, baby? I'm Telly Savalas, and I'm here in Las Vegas. And who loves you, baby? All right, we're back here. What up, what up, what up, man? I want to welcome you to one of our many second episode of the 18 podcast live. I am KC, the only Clipper fan I was born, and to my sides, my man, Michael, the Knicks fan, Piercy, and we're definitely glad to get this out and welcome you to another episode, pretty much our second live episode. And Mike, how you doing today, man?
Good. It's not exactly live. It's recorded still. We'll get
It's
to the
live to
live
us.
episodes soon.
Okay, well that's good. Well, it's live right now. Technically, we're live because we do it live, then we record it. So technically, it's live or live. We're definitely going to cover every topics and everything like that. And you can actually reach us on Twitter and Instagram at Twitter at the 18 podcast and on Instagram the_18 podcast. And listen, man. A lot has been going on in the news and stuff like that. We're going to touch on those topics too as well. But what's going on with your Knicks, man? Like they won like 8 in a row.
8 straight.
I like that. I think we won 6th straight. The Clippers won 6th straight. Then we lost. Did we lose to the Sixers? I think we lost to the Sixers or something like
in
that.
Atlanta, better watch out.
I'm telling you, man. So I take it that the Knicks are going to the playoffs this year. Then, okay, good.
No playing tournament for them this year.
Yeah, man. I mean,
Speaking of that, what do you think of that? Do you think that's a good idea?
do what?
The playing tournament.
That's a good question. I really don't like the playing tournament because it kind of gives it like a college feel to it. I thought from now maybe if it's like maybe 9 and 10 trying to get to like spot number 8 or something like that, maybe then sure. But
I think the whole NBA should go to a one and done system.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice because
Isn't
that would give the
exciting
Clippers
that would be?
a little bit more of a chance,
Yeah.
know.
You know how
But
exciting that would be?
yeah,
me,
it would have
anyway.
something. I think they should adopt a little bit of the tournament in there, but that playing tournament stuff, like that's just. It's just like to me. To me, it sounds like a waste of time. But I guess it's like for the teams who should have got in, they might be like maybe like say for example, we had an 82 game season. They're like 41 and 41 or something like that. And you have to like play in to get in and stuff like that. So that's fine with me. But as I said before, like the Knicks and the Clippers are like one of the teams that a lot of these teams have to pay attention to. No disrespect to the Suns or some of those other teams out there, but I know a whole lot of those teams up there a whole lot of people, should I say, are actually like they're pretty much like writing Paul George off. But Paul George is playing like the best ball of this season so far. I mean, consecutive 30-point games. He's not complaining to the refs, even though the refs are not really giving him the calls, but he's just out there hooping. Also, I think a great acquisition, for us was Yogi Ferrell, Boogie Cousins, aka DeMarcus Cousins. And also Rajon Rondo, like they are really fitting into the team and the culture like pretty seamlessly. And I think hopefully they should keep DeMarcus Cousins for the rest of the season and also keep Yogi Ferrell for the rest of the season after what he showed. And the Clippers, man, they're a team to mess with. And Julius Randle, man, like for your Knicks, man, he is straight hooping out there. He just had 40 like the other day. Man, he's hooping, man. So. Wow. So, I mean, where do you think that the Knicks are going to get placed in? I mean, do you think they're going to move up in seeding, or are they going to move stay where they're at?
I think they between 4 and 4. I mean, 3 and 4 and 6. I think they're at 6 now, right?
I believe they're at
Somewhere
6.
around
I believe they're at 6. I can look that up. But yeah, and speaking of which, like Mike, you're a Knicks fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a Giants fan,
Yes.
respectively. I'm a Jets fan and a Clippers fan. Show me some respect. I know we were talking about this before in regards to like home teams and being loyal to your teams and things of that sort. Because like everybody in my family pretty much has that problem. Because my brother, shout out to my brother, Black Psychologist Podcast, he's an Indianapolis Colts fan and he's also a Dallas Mavericks fan. Now, keep in mind, we've been fans of these teams since the beginning of time when they were like bad. since certain players were playing for him, and we're talking about let me see, Mike, we're up here, we're pretty much in our 40s. I'm not gonna. It is what it is. I'm in my 40s. I ain't afraid to say it. I've been liking the Clippers and the Jets since like the early '90s. So that gives me every bit of like at least 30 years almost of fandom. So, and the question
Yeah,
to
I know
you,
I've been a Giants fan for 30 years over that.
really?
I've been a Giants fan since '87.
Wow. Since who? Jeff Hostetler?
Yes.
Yes.
Later in his career.
Yes. Yeah, and Dave Meggett. The original number 20. Because let me see, it was Jeff Hostetler, Phil Simms, LT.
I lived through the Dave Brown years.
Carl Banks, all those guys. Yeah. Is Carl Banks a Hall of Famer? Is he?
I don't think he's in.
Okay.
I think he should be.
We might have to work on that. We have to we have to get Carl Banks in there. I'm wondering, to be honest with you, speaking of Hall of Fame, like my only question is, how come there aren't any Clippers in the Hall of Fame? There should be at least like 2.
Danny Manning not in the Hall of Fame?
That was one of my questions, but I don't think he played with the Clippers long enough to be in the Hall of Fame. Maybe I would put like Bob McAdoo, maybe Randy Smith in there. Ron Harper should go in there. Maybe Blake Griffin. Maybe depends. Kind of depends on if he wants to come back. Maybe for his like last year. I know Chris Paul should be one. Chris Paul should definitely be in the get his name retired in the rafters. If he doesn't get his like number retired with like either New Orleans or Phoenix or something, but I think he should definitely get his number retired with the Clippers because he took us to those playoff years. But as in the question is basically, is it a crime for us not to root for the home team? Does that consider us like traitors to our country, traitors to our city because we don't root for the Philadelphia 76ers, the Philadelphia Phillies, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Flyers, things of that sort? So, what's your take on that, Mike?
I mean, honestly, I don't think none of my friends are Eagles fans. Most of them are fans of other. I got family and friends that are Cowboys fans. You're a Clipper fan.
Solid. Yes. Respect. Yeah.
And I've never rooted for the home team. Like I've supported the Sixers at one point. I've never rooted for them.
When?
During the Barkley years.
Okay, I was about to say that too. Did you support them? Did you support the Sixers when they went to the finals that year in 2001?
I was happy for them.
MVP year.
I was happy for them.
Me too.
I was more so happy for Iverson.
Right.
Than anybody else.
Right. and same here with me. Like, I mean, I was definitely happy for the Sixers that they got Iverson when they drafted him in '96. I was happy for that. I liked them for the Sixers. I was not a Sixers. I wasn't a Sixers fan, but I wasn't a hater either. I won't hate I hope they lose to such and such. But it's just a simple fact that the only time I wanted the Sixers to lose when they were playing against the Clippers. That's it. I mean, because someone has to win, someone has to lose. It is what it is. But yeah, like I never grew up like a Philly fan. I mean, I grew up a Philadelphia fan of the college teams, like the Temples, the LaSalle's.
College teams, yeah.
Oh yeah, I definitely support Philadelphia college teams. Yeah, most of the Big Five, City Six. Even some of the small PA colleges.
High school, of course. I mean, I live here. I rooted for the like the Grats.
Of course. Roman Catholic,
all them U City and all them. So when I was a kid, I rooted for them.
Yeah, I rooted for King.
Oh yeah,
King has some good players to come out there.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, yeah, but a lot of people like they come up to me like, well, how come you're not a Philly fan? And I'm like, well, I don't like the Philly teams. Oh man, that makes you a hater, man. Why you hating on Philly like that? I'm not hating on Philly. It's a simple fact. It's not my team. That's like me. That's like you come to me, Mike, and you say, "Yo, okay, do you want a pepperoni pizza?" I'm like, "No, I don't like pepperoni pizza." Oh, you a hater. You hate on all things pizza because you don't like pepperoni. No, I mean maybe I might like green peppers or sausage or something like that.
Most of my friends aren't Philadelphia fans. At least not all. Like I mean, I have some that are Sixers fans, but they may not be Eagles fans. And there's nothing wrong with that to me.
Right. And I do know, but also, and I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this, but most of the Philadelphia fans that I know of, they're like kind of like fair weather fans.
Yeah.
Not all of them. Like present company accepted. Shout out to the OG Tracy Johnson. She's a diehard fan from the beginning. But I mean, I know a lot of fair weather fans out there. Fair weather Philly fans.
Like if you're under 30, like you didn't really live through much. You know, you lived through success. 14 years of Andy Reid. Then you guys just won a Super Bowl three years ago. So you didn't really suffer or live through a lot of turmoil like a lot of other fans. Like Eagles fans, they're 30, 35 and over.
Lived through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they lived through it. They went Super Bowl appearances, didn't make it. A lot of what's it called? NFC Championship. A lot of NFC Championship appearances, which is eventually like you guys broke through, got to the promised land, and you guys won it. Now, I'll use my team as an example, like the Clippers. Like the Clippers have been bad ever since I liked them. The Clippers have been bad since like what? Let's see, I liked them in what 92, 93. So at that time they went to the playoffs like 2 years in a row. So I'm thinking, okay, we can build off of this. Maybe they'll get past the second round. Or
they weren't that bad in the early 90s.
Yeah, they were. Because out of those, like if you count from decade to decade, from 1990 to 2000, we've only made the playoffs like maybe 3 times. Seriously, like we made the playoffs 92, 93, 97, and that's it. All the other teams were going to the playoffs like every year and stuff like that. And every time we went to the playoffs in the 90s, we got swept. So what was the use of even going? But I mean, we got it there. We're in the record books. But then, we finally, cracked the surface in 2006 when we made the proper moves and stuff like that. But look at that gap, though. Like we went from 1997 to 2006. That's almost like 10 years. And then 2006 to I would say like 2012, another 6 years we through futility and bad draft picks and stuff like that.
It had some horrible bad draft picks. I can't even name I can name them, but they don't play for them no more.
Ronaldo Balkman. That's one of them. I mean,
right. Was it Frank Ntilikina?
Yep.
That's his name?
Frank, the French guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that the French guy that got banged on by Vince Carter? Or is that Frederick Weiss? That's Frederick Weiss. Yeah, that's Frederick Weiss. Yeah. I know that guy. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people, like, they really give me, like, the sad face. Like, they call me a hater, like, yo, he's like, how come you like the Sixers? Which you was born in Los Angeles? No, I wasn't. It's just I like the Clippers. Like
now, if you're a Lakers fan, all of a sudden, okay, now that's where I have the issue because you weren't a Lakers fan before LeBron and AD, so
right?
That's where the issue comes in there. And then when I was in high school in the early '90s, everybody was Cowboy fans all of a sudden. That was an issue.
Yeah.
I mean, now there's a lot of Cowboy fans in the city. Who cares? They're like relevant. They're not relevant. Excuse me, irrelevant. I know a lot of people because I mean, even like I remember when I was like diehard. I'm a diehard Jets fan. Now I remember there was that period where the Jets were going to the playoffs like every other year, and then I remember that year when we had Mark Sanchez and we had like the number one defense in the league, like maybe close to the number one defense in the league, and all of a sudden everybody wants to be a Jet fan. Everybody wants to jump on the Jets bandwagon. Oh man, I think y'all gonna do this, and yo man, y'all looking good, man. Like I like y'all. Y'all real good, and really. Fans over the last 20
yeah,
years.
Exactly. Yeah, like and I seen a couple Clipper bandwagon fans jump on the boat too. Like and then as soon as the Clippers and the crazy part, as soon as the Clippers lost in the playoffs, all of a sudden they jump off the boat. Oh, I never was a Clipper fan. I just roll with y'all because that's who I bet my money on. Well, why? We don't need that. Like, that's fair weather, friends. I mean, I was never an Eagles fan, and I never will be an Eagles fan.
Never rooted for the Eagles.
Yeah.
Ever.
You will never catch me in Eagles green.
Maybe I was hoping for 1 year when, the year that Jerome Brown died.
Oh, yeah,
had to bring it home for Jerome.
Bring it home for Jerome, definitely. With the black sneakers.
I rode the wave then.
Yeah. I mean, but that was because of Jerome, though.
Yeah. I still was my Giants.
Right.
Never came off of that.
Right. Like, I don't care. Like, may he rest in peace. Like, Kobe Bryant. Like, he was on the Lakers. He was like almost like the best that ever. He used to kill us. He used to kill the Clippers. But I mean, fun fact for you, there was a time, and I believe Jeannie Buss was talking about this in a different podcast. She was talking about Kobe almost went to the Lakers. I mean, excuse me, Kobe almost went to he went to the Clippers. We almost had him. We had him by like maybe that much, because it came to the point where I think he was tired of the organization. I think he was tired of Shaq or something like that. He was just tired of just the whole organization period. He was looking for greener pastures. He actually went to the Clippers, and they said, listen, what do you need from us? Like, we'll build an arena specifically for you. Like, where do you want the games played at? We'll play some games near Anaheim for you, just so you don't have to travel. Another player that actually almost came to the Clippers, Allen Iverson. He almost came to the Clippers. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Allen Iverson was almost a Clipper. If it wasn't for Matt Geiger and that no trade clause that he had in his contract, Iverson would have been a Clipper. And it's ironic, too. It's ironic that Iverson had his best year after he almost got traded to the Clippers, because the Clippers were just that bad. Like, the Clippers were known as like a truck stop, purgatory, whatever you want to call it. So, but yeah, and I stuck with the Clippers through and through, and now everybody's congratulating me like, oh man, K, you've been through it, and congratulations, man, they're still garbage and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, we probably won't. We're always going to be the Clippers. We're always going to be the Lakers' little brother, because we don't have as many banners as as the Lakers do. But I think that's going to change. I think I'm really, really optimistic this year, because I think we have the right mixture of everybody now. On the staff, we have the right mixture of players like that, that know the culture, and we have the right number of winners on that team. Like, we have Ty Lue, he's a winner. We have Rajon Rondo, he's a winner. We have Kawhi Leonard, he's a winner. We have Paul George, he's sort of a winner. He is. I mean, he gets a lot of flack for that, because he flamed out in the playoffs and stuff like that. But everybody was feeling the weight of the bubble. I mean, even LeBron was feeling it. So,
because LeBron capped it off. So.
Yeah, but that's because it's LeBron. So, do you get, because I'm sure, because my brother, shout out to Kyle, Dr. Kyle, that is, he gets a lot of bad looks too, because he's not an Eagles fan. He's a Colts fan, but he's been liking the Colts since, Jim Harbaugh, really, like Jim Harbaugh and Marshall Faulk and all them, and he loves the Dallas Mavericks. He's been liking them since like Jimmy Jackson and them.
The same division as the Eagles, so I hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And occasionally I'll hear from Dallas fans too, and occasional Washington football team fans.
You mean the Redskins? Yeah, they're always going to be known to me as a Redskins. No disrespect to the Washington football team, but you're always going to be known as a Redskins to me. Shout out to Doug Williams.
So occasionally I run into a Washington fan. I got to hear from them.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But see, you guys have rings though, But somebody told me, a wise person told me, that if you weren't born before they had that ring, then that ring doesn't count, because you weren't there to see it.
I was born for all four, so I was only seen three of them. So.
I wasn't born for our Super Bowl ring, and if the Clippers, and hopefully, from my lips to God's ears, if the Clippers get to the finals and we actually get it done and we win the championship, that's it. I'm good. You might see me out there in LA, like all my Clippers gear on and everything, going crazy, going ballistic. I might be the only one out there.
Did the Knicks ever win the finals in my lifetime? Because I wasn't born when they did win it.
Right.
If they ever win it in my lifetime, best believe I'm going to New York.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, I might even I'll pay the ticket. If I pay a ticket for you, the New York goes to the finals. You got to like at least go half on on my ticket going to Los Angeles, going to the Staples Center in downtown LA. I'll pay homage to the Lakers, of course, take pictures with the statues and stuff like that. But after that, yeah, I'm going to the Staples Center, and I might even go visit the old LA Sports Arena too, just because it was an old rat hole over there. So, but I think, to be honest with you, my thing is, I think just because if you're from Philly and you like other teams, because I know a lot of people that like other teams. My only thing is, you have two teams. You have your main team and you have your side team. Like you have
I don't do that.
Yeah, I don't do that. Like I'm an Eagles fan, and then the Eagles go to the playoffs and they lose in the first round, and then all of a sudden San Fran's your team now and stuff like that. Listen, I know a lot of people who just pick teams. They just throw darts to the dartboard. A couple of friends of mine, they're going to remain nameless.
I respect people who say I follow. I don't have a team, but I follow certain players.
Right.
I respect that. Other than you just having this team and that team. This team don't do it, then I got this team.
Right.
I know people like that too.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know a lot of people who just pick teams. Well, I know a lot of people who pick teams because of the players.
Most of them are like 12 or 13, but I know people like that.
I always liked Utah. I like Donovan Mitchell. Really? When you start liking Utah? Did you like him before Donovan Mitchell? Yeah, I liked him before Donovan Mitchell. Did you? Give me a player that didn't play. That played on the Jazz, before Donovan Mitchell. Like I'll give you one, and I'm not even gonna say Karl Malone or John Stockton. I'll say like Andre Karolinko or Carlos Boozer or Darren Williams or something like that. Yeah, or Greg Ostertag or Adam Keefe or Antoine Carr or somebody like that, or Jeff Hornacek. Because one of my friends, he will remain nameless. I remember he said well, first he was a Knicks fan. He loved Patrick Ewing, stuff like that. Ran the Knicks. I love the Knicks. This and that, blah, 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 blah. His other friend, Bulls fan. So, Bulls were on top of things. Bulls were on top of things. He was, following, the Bulls and Jordan, all that good stuff. All of a sudden, Jordan left. All of a sudden, he's not a Bulls fan anymore. He likes, like, the Utah Jazz or the San Antonio Spurs or something like that. I was like, well, when did you become a Spurs fan? Number one, when did you become a Spurs fan? He said, "Oh, I've always been a Spurs fan." Really? Give me a player. Give me a player that came before Tim Duncan. Just give me that player, and don't give me David Robinson either. Oh, you don't worry about it, man. You know who's on that team. No, you should know who's on that team because you're a fan. Like if you ask me, Clippers that played like in the '90s, I can give you a whole slew of them. From Doc Rivers to Danny Manning to Ron Harper to Jaren Jackson to Stanley Roberts to whoever.
I can give you Bernard King for the Knicks.
Yeah. Even though his brother wasn't as good though. Albert King was tough though. He was definitely tough, but he wasn't like Bernard. But you guys had some bad, like I'm talking about bad meaning good, like ball players, like and the John Starks years were good. The Ewing, like those playoff series were just all that. But like I said, people do it with the Sixers too. A lot of people are Sixers fans. They claim to be Sixers fans, but then all of a sudden, when the Sixers lose, they badmouth them. Then they're like Boston fans. Like, don't do that. Stick with your team, man. Your team is going to get you somewhere. Like, look at me. Like, I thought the Clippers were hopeless, and then through good draft picks, some trade acquisitions, a couple free agent signings, a couple of deals with the devil. And we're there now, Shoot, I mean, because I remember when Lob City hit. Well, I'll even go before that. I remember when we got our first like really legitimate playoff team we had. I think I'm gonna say the Elton Brand year. When we had Elton Brand, Sam Cassell, Catino Mobley, all those guys, and we had a bomb squad. Oh, Chris Kaman, shout out to Chris Kaman. We had a bomb squad. We were just rolling over folks. All of a sudden, people are Clippers fans out the blue. When we had the Lob City era, people were Clippers fans then too. I was, of course I'm going to be a Clipper fan, but people were just coming out the woodwork. Oh yeah, I like y'all, yo. People have Clipper T-shirts and stuff like that. I'm like, really? When did you come out with these? They don't even sell these in Philadelphia. You got to order these. So you get in the bootleg joints, So, but yeah, same thing with the Giants too. Because I remember there were years when the Giants were like, Eli and all them were winning Super Bowls, and all of a sudden people were, coming out the woodwork, jumping on the bandwagon. Oh yeah, I like Eli. I like Eli. So. I always did love Eli. I like Eli better than Peyton. Do you? Because I don't.
Yeah, I got a love-hate relationship with Eli.
Eli's good though. Quite sketchy. Now, here's a question for you: should Eli is Eli Hall of Fame bound? Is he Hall of Fame worthy?
I think he'll get there. It's just gonna take a while.
Is he first ballot Hall of Fame?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so.
So he's going to get in there off his last name?
I can't think of who will go in there before him off the top of my head, but I don't think he's first ballot.
But he is one of the elite quarterbacks, though.
Elite?
Mm-hmm.
No.
No?
No, he wasn't even the best quarterback of the draft class. Honestly.
No.
Say what you want about Ben.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Phillip Rivers it's pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
But Eli.
Oh, I thought, my bad. I'm sorry. I got Phillip Rivers confused with Ryan Leaf. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. My apologies to you, Phillip Rivers.
Because Eli has the Super Bowl rings to back him up.
Mm-hmm. But he also had a subpar team
like,
too.
I had this argument with somebody a little while ago, maybe a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is Donovan a Hall of Famer?
Ooh, that's a good question.
And I put his numbers up against Troy Aikman's. His numbers are either
better.
the same or better.
Yeah,
but just Aikman has a Super Bowl ring. That's
right.
why he's in the Hall.
Yeah. That's a real good question. Like, matter of fact, I'll send that question out there to our viewers and stuff like that. I'm not an Eagles fan whatsoever, but game recognizes game. Like, should Donovan McNabb be in the Hall of Fame? Because like Mike just said here, you put his numbers against any of those elite quarterbacks up there, his numbers are either better or they match it. Touchdowns, interceptions, rushing yards, everything. Games played. Plus, little fun fact for you, plus Donovan McNabb is one of the only quarterbacks who played through his whole contract in Philadelphia, which is hard to do. Yeah, I definitely, to be honest with you, I think he should go. I think he should go in the Hall of Fame. He's already in the Eagles Hall of Fame, right?
I think so. I know he's in the Ring of Fame.
Yeah, he should. Yeah, hopefully he's in the Eagles Ring of Honor. Yeah, definitely.
You're right on that.
Yeah, he should definitely do that. That's like saying, I don't know if Vinny Testaverde should be in the Hall of Fame, but I know Vinny Testaverde deserves a spot in the Ring of Honor, just like with Chad Pennington. No, you don't like Chad? You don't roll with Chad at Marshall? You know, he was Randy Moss's college teammate. No,
Chad was good. He was good.
Chad was good. He just got hurt. He got injuries. Injuries kind of killed him. In a way. So, but yeah, I don't think, like I said, but just ending this segment, I don't really think it's a crime to root for. It's not a crime against Philadelphia teams. It doesn't make you a traitor to Philadelphia if you don't root for Philly teams. That doesn't brand you a traitor to your city.
I don't know if it's the same case for you, but I didn't have someone as a kid pounding Eagles in my head growing up.
Right. I was given the freedom to choose my team. Like, one day, I was watching the Clippers play. It was like a Christmas Day game, and I was watching the Clippers play against Denver. That's when they had like Mutombo, Chris Jackson, LaFonso Ellis. This is the Denver team. I believe Brian Stiff was still playing for them in Orlando Woolridge, I think. And it was a good game. Like, and I was like, yo, this showed Ron Harper. I was like, yo, I thought Ron Harper played for the Cavaliers. I was like, nope. He was like, Ron Harper got traded. And I was like, oh. Well, as a matter of fact, he got traded for Hot Rod Williams, I think. And John Hot Rod Williams. And I think Danny Ferry too. I think Danny Ferry was part of that because Danny Ferry said if I'm playing for the Clippers, I'm going to play overseas. Like he's a nut. He's a stone cold nut, Danny Ferry. Yeah, I hope this thing goes live and you see this. Danny Ferry, you was a nut. So you see how I got real thug on that right there? He's a nut. But yeah, and I was like, wow. I'm watching, because I remember Ron Harper from the Clippers, and he was doing work out there. I mean, excuse me, for the Cavs. I apologize. He was doing work for the Cavs, and he was doing work out there. And I was like, yeah, this team is going to be fun to watch. And I watched them. Like I said, they went to the playoffs 2 times in a row. I'm like, oh, this is the squad. They're not the Lakers, but they're LA's other team. And that's it. It was on from there. Jets, same thing. I thought they were the Eagles, but I'm like, oh, they're better than the Eagles. Yeah, let me rock with them. Then I saw them on Tecmo Bowl. I was like, yeah. I was like, oh yeah, this is my squad right here. Ken O'Brien, let's go.
And they had Boomer for a little bit.
Had Boomer too. It was Boomer. Then after that came, let me see, a couple other. Bubby Brister, we had him for a couple years. I think Mark Tupa or something like that. Yes, he had a crazy last name. And then after that, we got Testaverde. After that, we started going to the playoffs. Tessa Verde, Keyshawn Johnson, Chad Pennington. It just went on and on and on. Then we got the Sanchez. It was on and popping from there. Yeah. So, but yeah, that pretty much ends that segment. So, and now we're gonna get into a more like a more serious, but it has to be heard segment. You know, as I said, like this week has been a lot, like to say the least, and you know, it's been a media frenzy, and all of us were home watching. You know, like Derek Chauvin verdict, and you know, we all had our, you know, our 2 cents in you know, seeing it and you know, absorbing it and watching it. You know, also there were some other incidents that happened over there as well, like the Dante Wright shooting. And for those you know who don't know who Dante Wright is, he was actually a 20-year-old African American man who was fatally shot by the police officer, you know, Kimberly Ann Porter, on April 11th of this year. It was like during a traffic stop, and it says that he had like an outstanding warrant for his arrest in the Brooklyn Center of Minnesota. And after a brief struggle, quote unquote, a brief struggle with the officers, he was like pretty much shot at close range. What happened was, she thought that you know she was reaching for the taser, and it was actually the shotgun, which actually you know gave him a wound to the chest at close range. And then what happened after that? He actually got back in the car, drove down the block, and he crashed into a barrier where, unfortunately, he passed away. You know, like minutes later after they tried to give CPR and stuff like that. So, Kimberly Porter, the officer, was she resigned immediately because you know then she had to like kind of like hide because you know people found out where she lived at. Also, she was charged with second-degree manslaughter, which means that the killing can either be intentional or reckless, which occurs like in the spur of the moment. Now, do you actually believe that, Mike? That that it was actually the spur of the moment, or or do you think she had time to think?
Well, before I say what I'm going to say,
Go ahead.
I just want to say in no way am I saying that I don't like cops or
Right.
have an issue with cops, because I have
Same here.
friends and family who are or were police officers,
Mm-hmm.
and that is a job that honestly I could not do.
Right.
So I have all respect for cops.
Mm-hmm.
And watching the video,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was a spur of the moment thing. I don't think she did it on purpose. I don't
Right.
think a lot of us minorities think cops intentionally hunt us down and seek us out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that is the case at all.
Right.
I just think certain things happen, and in the moment they don't think, and things that happens.
Mm-hmm.
I think there should be better police training for
Yeah.
certain areas.
Definitely. Definitely. I mean, I don't think you know she came out, you know, and unfortunately, Deontay Wright had to pay the price for that. And even, I mean, and you know, Kimberly Potter also paid the price too, because she's out of a job. She's probably going to be behind bars. I don't think she came out with the intention, like that day. Yeah, it was spur of the moment because if there's a struggle,
Yeah.
you know, you don't know because you know, officers also like they don't know what's gonna like with that traffic stop. Like you don't know who has what.
Yeah.
You know, like when you're going on side of that window, like you don't know what they're doing. They could be fiddling with something. Who knows? Whatever the case may be.
And like a lot of these instances, you have to put yourself in a situation.
Right.
Like I'm not a cop. I don't have cop training. I've never been a cop. I don't know what cops have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, and I'm sure they have to deal with a lot of
Stress.
a lot of
Stress levels are high. It's the fear of the unknown.
yeah.
Definitely
So
fear of
I
the
said that's a
unknown.
job that I don't think I could do. So I
Yeah.
have a lot of respect for cops.
I do.
I usually don't put my opinion on things, but
Mhm.
I saw a lot of things like regarding like the placement of the gun versus the tasers. That the gun is always on the dominant hand side and
Yeah.
the taser's on the other side, and there's a big weight difference anyway. So for her trying to say she accidentally shot him is kind of I don't know BS in my opinion because they both feel incredibly different. Like I haven't held a gun, but I
And
have
that's our
held a
producer,
taser.
by the way.
Yeah, shout out to our producer. Yeah, get on. Yeah, come on in, producer. Yeah, and you said a good fact because from what they were saying, they said the taser weighs like maybe a couple of ounces less than a gun. And you said, like you said before, like the gun's supposed to be on your dominant hand, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so
And this young lady was a 26-year veteran of the force.
Mhm.
Like, you would think you would know better than that.
right, exactly. And I think she was trained. Was she training somebody too?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll have to get those facts, but it was definitely. I mean, it could be spurred in the moment because you don't know like what was happening in that struggle, what was being said in that struggle, and then also too, when you're struggling with someone, you don't know if it's going to be like life or death, especially in the line of work of a police officer. So I mean, like I said, I have nothing against police officers. I know a lot of police officers that either work for for mass transit, they work for armored car services, different buildings, security, things of that sort, and also like the Philadelphia police. So I have nothing against cops. I mean, it's just an unfortunate incident that actually happened. Just like I want to also bring the other unfortunate accident with the Micaiah Bryant shooting. This is like just after the Derek Chauvin verdict.
That's the crazy thing. Is like
Uh-huh.
we get over one thing, then something else happens.
Right. And I think the cop, unfortunately, police officer caught a bad deal again because it was a situation where the cops were already called, and then unfortunately, the teenagers were out there fighting, and I believe one of the teenagers called the cops on them because they were in a jumper.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of them had a knife. One of the two had a knife, and they came outside again, and somehow Micaiah actually had the knife allegedly, and went to go stab one of the other girls. And what happened? The cops were on the scene. Unfortunately, I wish she could have been tased or something like that, but I'm not sure like where she was, like where she was about, because I heard she was like really really close, like to like stabbing her, and if you stab a person in the right area, like the neck, the chest, the shoulder area, maybe somewhere around their arm where one of their main arteries are at, like they can actually bleed out and they can actually die. Now you have a murder on their hands. Now, actually, the police officer actually saved that person from getting stabbed, and unfortunately, like he gets the raw deal because he shot a teenager, and then but let's look at it like this, Mike. Like what would have happened if he didn't stop it? Two young ladies would have lost their life, over an argument, So, man, you never know like what's going through, like people's heads and stuff like that. And
I'm just to the point now that, like, I used to kind of not make excuses for it, but look at it from both sides of it.
right,
Like, we don't know what's happening on the inside of the car, like you said, or what happened prior to the cops getting there.
right,
We don't know. So I look at it from that point of view. But it's like I'm getting to the point where I can't keep making excuses for it.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. Because I mean, like some are guilty, but all of us, we have to be like responsible. And we also need some type of accountability.
Yeah,
Definitely. Oh yeah, because like I said, like I mean, Micaiah Bryant didn't have to die yesterday. I mean, not yesterday, but a couple days ago. But people look at it as like as a failure on on the police officers or on the community. But this is when and Tracy and I were talking about that yesterday in regards to if you see like teenagers fighting stuff like that, especially girls, someone has to come out there and break it up. Because I remember
like,
we were
the adults.
yeah, right. We're the adults, because I know when we were coming up, and we used to see like fights and stuff like that, like out in the street and stuff like that. Most of the time, 9 times out of 10, there would be an adult out there.
Yeah.
We get a couple licks off every now and then, but most of the time there would be a couple adults out there say, "Yo, go home, break this up." Yeah, exactly. Break this up. Go home, go back, take that back to where you're at, or something like that. Or even the teacher, like if we were fighting at school, even the teacher would come in there and break it up.
Yeah.
Now it's just. They're coming out. People are thinking it's cool to come out there and just in this, fight and stuff like that. or with the thing that kind of burns me up too, and I might be getting off topic with this, is when this really burns me up, Mike. Like when girls are fighting, but guys are around there like taking pictures. Oh yo, this out of pocket, you out of pocket, stuff like that. It kind of like burns me. It's kind of like a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah, it burns me about together when something goes down. A car accident happen. First thing someone does, bring the phone out, video recording instead of calling 911.
Right. Like somebody could be in there. Somebody could be in there. Hurt.
Happens so often.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but I mean, I'm glad that was there anything else that comes to mind? In regards to the happenings this week. I mean,
no, that's it. Just wanted to touch on that.
Okay, yeah, and I'm glad we did, man, because I like that this conversation, especially about about the verdict and the unfortunate happenings in Columbus, Ohio, and in Minnesota. Yeah, it kind of helped me today because I'm getting clarity from like both perspectives. Because of course we're going to be like, justice and things of that sort. But that's because we're so emotionally attached to it because of what we've seen, like different wrongdoings, like early in our years and stuff like that. But yeah, I definitely appreciate you, Mike, for having the forum to talk about this because we need to talk about more about these issues.
Yeah.
Definitely hug your loved ones out there, and also like listen to them too. Have a talk with them. Even if it's just like little casual talk around the table, just talk with them because you never know. Like you want to know what's going inside their heads too. And because they have things to deal with as well here. Just
I think just because you've dealt with these kind of things, you dealt with things coming up that they're not going through.
Oh yeah, and they're definitely
Similar
going through it.
stuff.
Yeah, they're probably going through it more than we were.
Yeah.
Because now you have, that was more in their face now because you have social media. See, we just had like television.
Mm-hmm.
That was our little form of social media. Now they have phones, they have Facebook, they have Snapchat,
Instagram. TikTok,
Instagram. They have everything. So, I mean, yeah, that pretty much wraps it up, man. And please get back to us and hit us with a like or a comment. And you can go on Twitter at the 18 Podcast and also go on Instagram at the_18 Podcast. Check us out on your phone, your computer. We're also on Spotify, and we'll be uploading and sharing these episodes on Facebook as well.
Please like and subscribe, comment.
Please
let us know what you think. If any topics you want us to talk about,
throw them in there.
Put it in there.
Please throw it in there. We would love that. And any shout outs, Mike?
Shout out my man Jeff, who was the Live from the Deli podcast. Shout out to my kids, daughter. Congratulations on them. They're accepting to Groucho University and La Roche University.
Shout out.
Figure out how to pronounce Goucher.
What's the name of the college again?
Goucher.
Goucher.
You're adding an extra R.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought it was Groucho.
I was
Groucher.
It's Goucher. Okay,
Yeah,
I got you.
Yeah, Goucher.
Goucher University. University. And La Roche University.
La
right?
Roche.
La Roche.
La Roche.
That one's easier.
It's French.
Apparently.
I like that one. For me, definitely shout out to my family, the OG Tracy Johnson. Shout out to my brother Kyle, Dr. Kyle Osborne of the 18 Podcast. Shout out to my man Ron, the MLK Alumni Podcast. Shout out to my guy Scoopy Radio Podcast. And shout out to my dad and my family. And that pretty much wraps it up, man. Once again,
next time.
This I know this conversation was a little bit more serious, but I think we definitely needed it as for us as a whole. Once again, I have been KC the Clippers fan and the Jets fan Osborne, and to my right is my man Mike the Knicks fan Piercy. We appreciate you, yo.
All right.
See you next time.